Thanks for watching Lessons in Minutes with Jaylee. Like, share, and don't forget to subscribe.
Welcome back, guys. Let us continue our lesson on the purchases journal. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to demonstrate how to make postings from the purchases book to the purchases ledger and general ledger. So basically, from the journal, the purchases journal, you'll be doing your double entry in your ledgers. We're going to continue with that question that we have started in the previous lesson where we had prepared the purchases book. All right. I kept mentioning purchases book, yes, because it is the alternative term for purchases journal, or you could say purchases daybook. That's just a reminder of the terms. All right. So in the previous lesson, we had completed part A of this question, the purchases book. What we're going to do in today's session is to look at B and C, where you're asked to prepare payables accounts in the purchases ledger and the purchases accounts in the general ledger. Now, please note that in your ledgers, remember, you show T accounts, ledger accounts. You complete double entry in these ledgers. Let's pause, guys, to look at the double entry to record credit purchases. Credit purchases is basically saying that the business bought goods on credit. So therefore, the two items affected are purchases and your accounts payable account. In terms of the effect and the double entry, once a business purchased goods, there's an increase in the value of purchases. So therefore, your purchases account should be debited. Once a business bought these goods, did not pay for it same times, it means that there is an increase in the value of what the business is owing to your creditors. So therefore, your accounts payable account should be credited because this is a liability. There's an increase in the liability, so therefore you have to credit the account. Now, the objective for this lesson is to record posts from the purchases journal to the respective ledgers. We now need to determine which ledger we're going to post the purchases account to, which ledger we're going to put the accounts payable accounts in. Now, the purchases account is found in the general ledger, while the accounts payable accounts are found in the purchases ledger. So we're going to move over now to do the posting from the purchases journal to the respective ledgers. So all we need now, we don't really need a question. Once we have prepared the purchases journal, we are going to pull the information from the purchases journal to prepare the ledgers. Now, we're going to look at the purchases ledger first. And when you're doing ledger, people, you need to indicate the ledger that you are actually preparing. So the first thing I'm going to do is to indicate that we're preparing the purchases ledger. Now, within the purchases ledger, we have the different accounts payable account. And from the question, from the purchases journal, basically, we're seeing that we have Whiteford Limited as a supplier. We have P. Sackley. We have A. Ayrton. So we need accounts for each of those individuals. So the first one is Whiteford Limited, and putting on the A/C right there to indicate account. And remember, people, earlier I've indicated that your accounts payable account should be credited. So therefore, we're going to credit this account. Crediting the account means that you're putting the entry on the right-hand side of the account. The title account has to be at the top of the account. So this is a title, Whiteford Limited, that's the account. And guess what? We are crediting the account, so we need to put the entry on the right-hand side. First thing you need to enter is the date, and that is 2018. The month is May. The day is the 3rd. Our details would be the other item that is affected so that you can do your cross-referencing. Basically, where is the other entry located? Because we're completing double entry. The other item affected by the transaction is purchases. So therefore, our details is purchases, meaning the other entry would be in the purchases account or is in the purchases account. But guess what? This entry is on the credit side. So therefore, in the purchases account, that entry would be on the left-hand side. And you pick up the amount, which is $1,230. We move into preparing P Sackley account. And again, we're going to follow that very same procedure that we use to make the posting to the suppliers accounts or accounts payable accounts or creditors account. And we have the columns already labeled, so there's no need for us to label again because that's basically adds the top of the page. So we just continue in that same form with the columns. Our date is May 11th. The details again is purchases because that's the other item affected, and the amount is $2,720. We move into a Ayrton. So a Ayrton account, and this is May 24th. The details again is purchases, and the amount is $990. There's another one which is May 27th. Again, this is Whiteford Limited. So within Whiteford's Limited account, all we're going to enter is May 27th. The details is purchases, and the amount is $2,823. And guess what? We're finished posting the credit purchases to the purchases ledger. Posting from the purchases journal to the purchases ledger. Okay, now to complete our double entry, we need to prepare the general ledger to complete double entry, because guess what? We have to make the posting to the purchases account. And again, that is located in the general ledger. So we're now going to do the general ledger. Again, you have to indicate the ledger that you're preparing. So that is general ledger. So once you have the accounts, there must be a title to indicate the ledger that you are in. So if you put general ledger, the accounts that follow, that falls under that, are basically within the general ledger. If you're preparing the purchases ledger, once you have the heading purchases ledger, the accounts that fall within that, below that, are within the purchases ledger. So let us get back to the general ledger, and the account that we're preparing in the general ledger to complete double entry is the purchases account. Now, earlier we looked at the double entry to complete credit purchases, and we have indicated that the purchases account should be debited while your suppliers, your creditors, your accounts payable account is credited. So the purchases account, we're going to debit that. So that's 2018. And it is the end of the month, which is May 31st. And our details is total credit purchases. So that would be the total credit purchases for the month of May. And we are going to pick up the total that is coming from the purchases journal. Remember, in the purchases journal, May 31st, we have transferred to purchases account, and this is $7,380. That is a value of your total credit purchases for the period. So that is 7,380. And basically, that is the end of completing the posting from the purchases journal to the respective ledgers, just to review what we have done. So our posting from the purchases journal to the purchases ledger. So what we pick up from the purchases journal are the respective entries. And for example, we have May 3rd, White Ford Limited, and the amount is 1,230. That is posted to White Ford's account, but the entry is made on the credit side. So that is what you are required to do when you're doing the posting to the purchases ledger. Why? The creditor's account should be credited once there is a credit purchases, because there is an increase in the value of what the business is owing to the creditor. We're now going to review what we did in the general ledger to complete the double entry. So from the purchases journal, what we pick up is the last entry right there that said transfer to purchases account, and the purchases account, people, is located in the general ledger, and the entry must be a debit entry in order to complete double entry, because there's an increase in the value of purchases once the business buy goods. And that takes us to the end of this lesson, where we have looked at the posting to the respective ledgers from the purchases journal. In another session, I will look at completing folio entries.
Like, share, and don't forget to subscribe.